Welcome to the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, the show that puts the spotlight on the incredible women who fuel the world of motorsports. From drivers to crew members, engineers to fans, and everyone in between, we're here to celebrate the trailblazers, dreamers, and doers shaping the sport we love. Each episode, we share inspiring stories of females of all ages from every corner of the motorsports universe, past, present, and future. It's a journey through the seasons of life filled with heartfelt moments, laughter, and a whole lot of horsepower. So, whether you're a lifelong fan, a racer yourself, or simply curious about the extraordinary women behind the wheel, settle in, relax, and enjoy a fun and uplifting ride with us. This is the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, connecting and celebrating women in motorsports, one story at a time. Let's hit the track. Hello, everyone. This is Melinda Russell with the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. And my guest today is Eileen Noyes. And Eileen, I want to welcome you to the show. We've had a little bit of a back and forth trying to get connected, and we're 3 hours apart in time, which doesn't help things. And so I'm glad we finally were able to get together today. And I want to share your story, not necessarily a motorsports story, but I think a story that will be inspiring and encouraging to other women and interesting as well, because I know you've had an interesting life so far. So I just want to welcome you to the show. And will you start by just sharing a little bit about yourself, your family, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we'll just go with the present. So right now I'm married to Michael Noyes, only 4 years, but between the two of us, there are 15 kids total. So I have 8 of mine. He has 7 of his. His are a little bit older. So his youngest is 13. Oldest is, I believe 30. So he already has 3 grandkids. My youngest is 7. My oldest is 22. So like I said, we've only been married for 4 years. And interestingly, it's so funny that, the whole motorsports thing, this is the first podcast that I've been on that had any sort of connection to motorsports, but that is so him. He's all about it. We moved out here from the Midwest. So we're in California, to start an adventure. It's called a multi-venture touring company. And so what he does is he takes guys out on different motorcycles, dirt bikes through different terrain. So it's like a 4-day tour where he starts in Johnson Valley, so desert. He'll take him to, now this last time he went to Big Bear. So he'll parts of the different trips, Big Bear, Mammoth, they end in San Diego. So all different terrain, all things that as a woman, sorry, no offense, because this is like a motorsports thing, I don't care about that stuff. But right. When men hear about this, their eyes get wide open and they're all about it. So he has definitely found his niche, and it's a bunch of businessmen that go out and they have the freedom to be little boys again. Mm-hmm. And so it's been awesome. So that is totally the connection to motorsports. And so all I do is ride on the back of his motorcycle when we get the time. But outside of that, that's totally his world. So that's just a little bit about me. I think the story that gets out, which is why, I thankfully have been able to be a guest on a different podcast now after doing my own, is I used to be part of the NFL world, married to a pro athlete for 16 years. And so with him, that's how we have our 8 kids. We used to be a very outspoken Christian couple. Unfortunately, if the only way to really kind of say it is an organization that believes in polygamy, that women aren't created in the image of God, that we're property. Definitely big time detour from the covenant that we made before God. And so long story short, after 16 years of marriage, we had to have an escape plan, hoping that he would come back around. He just never did. And so that was 4 years of me protecting the kids in the public eye, trying to, just kind of live, start over. It took a while to even acknowledge, gosh, I do have to start all over. And so, it was 4 years of singleness and then marriage. So it's about, I think, the 8-9 year mark since all this stuff, went down. But my heart, my life is, wife, mom. I love God. And I just want to, do what I'm called to do inside and outside of the home. So
Absolutely. Now, when you say 15 kids, and I don't care how old they are, they're going to be kids forever in your eyes. I don't care if they're 30 or they're 3.
Yes. Yeah.
And
My
oh
baby.
my gosh, I can't even imagine
Yeah.
how you manage that. Now, do the ones that are not older and out of the house, do they all live with you?
I have 6 of our 8 in the home. My oldest is only an hour away, so he's in San Diego. My
Okay.
second is in Nebraska, so he plays football at a Lutheran school there. And
Okay.
so, so he's my one that's out right now. But I have an extra kid from Wisconsin. So my third oldest, he has his friend live with us. So it's always a full house.
Yeah.
And yes, you know what I used to say, like, well, people would say, I don't know how you do it. And for me, especially when they were younger, they all just followed along. And I mean, it's for sure hard work, but no doubt now when they're all doing their different things, it is a whole different beast. And
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my days, I'm already driving by 6:30 in the morning, trying to do as much as I can while they're at school so that I can be available for them after school. And I'm home, gosh, the last 5 days, I was driving home 9:30 at night or later. And so it is super taxing. I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way. Well, when they drive, this is great. So I've got one more. My number 4 is almost driving. But I mean, I love it. Like, I'm honored to be mom, to be stepmom, to be mother-in-law. Like, all the different dynamics is it's a journey, and it's been a privilege. So
now, when you blend that many kids, because lots of personalities, that can go well and it can go bad.
Yeah, well, thankfully, so my husband has different dynamics with his kids. He's closer to than others. So his oldest 2 and his youngest 2 are ones that, because of his relationship with them, those are the ones that we interact with. And so great relationship with the oldest 2, and they're a lot older. And so when my kids see them, it's like, I don't know, it's just, especially with the younger ones, they're always excited to see them. And then they get to see their what's the relationship? Their nephews and nieces, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. And then their youngest 2, 13 and 16, they actually get along super well with my kids, and they talk. So they're in Chicago, but they talk and text all the time with my other ones. So when they come, because they're the youngest 2 come down most often during like break, spring break, Christmas break, things like that. And it's one big happy family. And when I say that, of course, it's not always, it's like, it's the irritations of siblings. So it's almost like they're real siblings, but it's like, it's to hear, actually, my stepdaughter said this. So she's a 16-year-old. She says, you know what, of all scenarios, she's like, I would not, she goes, this is like the best case scenario is she goes, you were the only one that my dad, looked at that was like wife material. So funny to hear that.
Yeah.
But then she said, yeah, like, I love to come out here knowing that I'm not just seeing dad, that I get to spend time with you guys. And to hear that from a 16-year-old was just like, wow, that's really cool. Yeah.
And a stepdaughter, because sometimes stepdaughters don't always, appreciate the new wife or the new stepmother. And so the fact that she said that really had to mean a lot to you.
Oh, completely. And I've heard the stories. I've heard the stories of how they would put water in the girls in in that girl's shoes and different stories of how they did not like certain ones. And so, yeah, I don't know what it is, but I mean, when we first started dating, Michael would say, they like you. So that's definitely a good thing.
Definitely a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you on your podcast and on your other podcasts, what is your main goal of sharing your story? A lot of people are like, oh, that's kind of private. They wouldn't be able to share about, being married and all the kids and everything. So tell me, kind of why you do this, and what are you wanting us to learn from you that we can take away?
Sure. Well, gosh, I know. I mean, I've always had a heart for women seeing their value, and I've always had this like kind of coach mentality. It started as a strength coach at a college, and so not only would I help them physically, but when I got closer to God, then that was what I did. I just saw these women, because I was like that in college, who were looking at guys for validation and worth and all that. And so my heart went out to them, because they're beautiful young women that were just, I'm like, guys, they're looking at you as objects, and also looking at the guys as, when I got closer to God, I started looking at them as my kids before I even had kids. Mm-hmm. And so my heart had changed for that. But when I came to that place of, the biggest turmoil when I was going through my divorce and going through that, I remember really praying and saying, God, if I have to do this, like, let it not be in vain, like get glory from this, like let this be for a purpose. Mm-hmm. And so in a nutshell, I look at the unsidelined life, which is obviously just this correlation of sports. It has evolved for me to see, not only am I talking to the pro athlete wives who are looked at as a stereotype of, oh, these are all gold digging women who are just looking to kind of win the lottery. As a whole, as I'm looking at these women, the women I know, the women who I've, lived life with, so many, if not, gosh, 95, 97%, probably more than that, all strong women who have already had things going, whether they're in, school, they have their jobs. We have all laid things down to be the support, to be the help. And so through that, whether it's identity issues, it's putting things down because of the moves and the pressure and the injuries and the trades and all that stuff, our lives have been sidelined. And so that's where it stemmed from. Yeah. But now as things evolve, as I'm on year 2 of my podcast, God has shown me so much of, there's different things that sideline us. It could be that we're thinking like, gosh, my marriage isn't good. And so, so they're stuck on that. There's like blind spots because of different wounds. It could be your fitness. It could be, that you don't know, that you're so far removed from the dreams that you had, that you're, because I'm kind of looking at the 40s and 50s. It's like, wait, can I do this? Should I be okay? Should I feel bad thinking, hey, I want to do other things outside of just, taking care of everybody else? Because I think we struggle with that. And so I'm seeing how many women just kind of let themselves go in so many different ways. And it is the justification by saying, I can't do that. I have to be this. I have to go here. I have to help there. And so it's just kind of a self-denial and a self-neglect and kind of like a martyr place where it's like, hey, that's not what your purpose is. There's you helping, but you also putting the oxygen mask on so that you can be the you that's healed, whole, so that you can be better for them, but you also have dreams that fulfill you. And, to me, I'm just thinking like, I you know what? My kids are getting older. I'm not doing diapers for my whole life. I mean, and honestly, I was told that like my purpose in life was to cook, clean, and have babies. Well, if that time gets done, which will eventually get done, does that mean my value and my worth is gone? No. And so I really had to do a lot of reflection too. And so that's what I want to do, is like reach out to all family devoted women who they just need that nudge and the permission to say, hey, I can look beyond my house and my home and my family and my husband and say, hey, is there more? Is there more for me that I'm not seeing? So.
Oh, that's so powerful what you just shared. You know, as someone who has had a little bit of contact with how the NFL works, had a player from Colorado that was part of my sister's family. She lives in Colorado, and they helped him with college and different things. And he was drafted,
Okay.
and then didn't go far. Was on different things, and then now he's completely out of that. But we saw enough to know how that works, and it's like baseball and anything else. It all kind of works the same.
Yeah.
My son-in-law is baseball. He was a pitcher, and he trains pitchers, and so
Okay.
he's also shared, and we've seen how it's brutal. It's brutal for the players and their families, because you could go in one day and they're saying, we're trading you to Timbuktu, and either you go or you quit, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And that affects the family, the kids, everybody, unless you have a base home, and he travels. And so
Right.
that's hard too. And so do you want to share a little bit about how being an NFL wife, what that's like? I mean, is that something
Yeah.
that you want to share about? I
Sure.
think people would be interested in knowing a little behind the scenes.
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, I was a strength coach for the college that he used to go to, actually. So he was, it was a player coach relationship before it was a marriage. And so, gosh, that was like in the late, 19, it was about 2000, actually. 2001 was when we got married. But, so I went from days where I interacted with hundreds of people, hundreds of athletes. I knew my purpose. I had my family close by, obviously my work, my church, just everything. And I literally got on a plane to go to Green Bay, a one-way ticket. And the day that I flew in was the day that we got married. So it was a super small wedding. It was at a side chapel of a church where it was two players and their significant others and this pastor that I didn't know. And so, I mean, that was just like kind of actually, even on the plane, when people seeing all the green and gold and stepping off the plane going, it felt like I was in a black and white movie, but it wasn't black and white. It was literally green and gold. Like it's a whole other
world. Yeah.
They're diehard fans.
Yes, they are.
And yeah. So I just remember thinking, I almost braced myself like, okay, this is different. This is going to be new. And so even then, because, we got married in the middle, we got married in October, and it was his breakout year. And so many different angles of kind of feeling scrutiny, feeling that all eyes were looking at me. So as soon as they hear, you're a wife of, they look at you different. You feel the stares. There's the competition of other women. So you see when they're autograph signings, there's the women, there's also the fans that you're competing with as a wife. And so I just remember the first time around having this identity crisis. It's like, wait, my days went from fully knowing a whole bunch of people, talking to a bunch of people, to now knowing just my husband, and slowly getting into the mix of these women who you can't, you're picking from the litter. It's not like you have options or you're
Right.
just there. Like that's just your network. That's your connection. And I struggled for a long time because I had so much time on my hands. There was that piece. There was just feeling like, okay, what is an NFL wife supposed to look like? Like, am I supposed to dress a certain way? You could see the evolution of every woman, especially in somewhere like Green Bay. If your husband is good, so he played for 9 years. And so when I first got there, you have to dress warm. You're dressing as, I hate being cold. And so I'm wearing parkas from college and camouflage, any gear that I could get to just stay warm. And then as you get better, you know, you're invited, either you purchase your own suite, or for me, we were invited to a suite. Sorry, my son's blending.
That's
Can
all
you hear
right.
that? Okay.
Just barely. It's fine.
Okay, cool. And so, yeah, so I was invited to a suite. And so, you know, like all of a sudden my attire's changing. And at the same time thinking, okay, should I dress like this? Should I, you know, it's like, I felt like I started being molded by my environment. Like, we went to a simple church. And so I was looking, going, do they think that I'm gaudy? You know, it was so funny. I got to tell you about this purse party, right? So there was this purse party that I was invited to, and they were fake. So it's like fake Chanel, fake Gucci, and they're like $200 each or whatever. And I remember wanting to buy one, but then I go, wait, if people think it's real, then they're going to think that I'm spending all this money on a purse. And so it's like those little weird games and those little things of, why am I so consumed with what everybody else thinks? Right. That there's also, because I didn't know my identity, because I had time on my hands. I didn't have, outside of my kids, I just felt like I wasn't, you know, it took a while to understand my purpose. And so I told myself I would never spend this much on a expensive purse. Well, then I started finding $200, $300 purses that I justified. Well, I'm not spending thousands, but I'll spend a whole lot of, I'll buy a whole lot of purses at 200. And so still it was like me kind of just kind of justifying things, to where I had a shopping addiction. So a lot of different things, but it all had to do with just losing who I was in this process. That's
peer pressure.
Yeah.
We talk about kids having peer pressure. Adults have it too. And you definitely went from knowing who you were, enjoying, what you did, and then trying to figure out, where do I fit in?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then, I remember I saw this one beautiful woman at a Pro Bowl. And her husband played the same position as mine at the time. They were so much alike. And I remember looking at her and the way that she presented herself. She was from Dallas, and just beautiful, just like gold, like gold hair, bronze, the way she carried herself, the way she walked, the way she talked. And I just thought, gosh, that's how you're supposed to look. And I remember, we had our kid, and somehow I found out that she had a kid at the same time, and she was a reporter. She was she was some sort of model. And I don't know how I knew, but every time she had a kid, I had a kid. And so even more, I just felt like there was this thing where I'm supposed to compare myself to her. And then all of a sudden I'm pregnant with number 4, and something just pricked in me, oh, I want to see if she's pregnant with number 4. I look, and all of a sudden I find these articles that, and they're pretty big. They're divorcing. And so it was just, it hit me oh my gosh, from the outside looking in, I thought they were this perfect couple who had everything put together. And it was kind of this reality check, gosh, you never know.
No.
Right?
You never know.
Never know. Well, then, of course, that was, I'm 8 kids later, and I'm going through the same thing. And it's different. It's it's just, I had to learn to stop. I had to put blinders on to everything else, especially when when I was going through my hardest point. There was so many voices saying, you got to leave, you got to stay. Hey, this is, all these different things. And I can't deny that, my faith in God is everything, that I had to silence all those voices to hear him. And that's what has gotten me through to this point. And so, anything that I can give your listeners is, one, you have a God who loves you. He's a Father who loves you, who speaks to you. It's just a matter of us positioning ourselves to hear his voice. But yeah, I know that just like this whole thing. I know that women just need to know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always, I don't know, there's just something about us just not seeing our value, and we put it on so much. We're the wife of, we're the mom of,
Yeah.
and we just lose ourselves in the process, which means someone else is losing out on the best you.
Yeah.
So,
It's interesting as you're speaking about, they were famous. I'm sure if he played for Dallas and Green Bay, I'm sure, the names would be famous. And I look at, for instance, there's a couple ladies that are reporters in the motorsports industry that just recently talked about their divorces and how people are so nosy, and like fans and stuff say things. And I would never say anything like what I've read about these two gals, and they're wonderful women. But again, they're kind of on the side where your husband was. They travel, they're gone, the husband's at home. And honestly, I almost think sometimes it's harder for a man to maybe take the back seat to the woman who is well known. Like in the motorsports industry, these two ladies everybody would know them because they're on TV and they do the interviews and all that. Or Dylan Dreyer, I think about her. She's the weather person on the Today Show.
Okay.
And so again, she travels, she's famous, she's beautiful, she's smart, and I'm sure her husband is all those things as well, but it's really a different lifestyle. She's on the go, she's doing this, she's going all these places, and it would take a special man in this case to be able to deal with that.
Yeah, a confident man.
A confident man who's like proud of what she's done, not threatened by it.
Right.
And so, we're speaking about women finding their place. Where do they belong? What's their purpose besides being a mom and a wife? Because so many of us are moms and wives and grandmas, but we have other things that we want to accomplish and that we want to do. And as a woman, more times than not, what do? We put other people first.
Yeah.
And then we kind of forget what we like to do or what we wanted to be or do.
Yeah, or we get comfortable in there because I think a lot of women probably want to venture out. But there's a fear. Like I know women who go, well, I haven't done what I've loved to do for so long. I don't, do people want what I have to offer? Or it's like, so we just like kind of just like, just kind of come back in and use our kids and use the things as excuses to say, no, I can't do it. When really it's like, no, you just got to push. Yeah. Wow. So can I ask you, like, when you're talking about motorsports, how is your connection? Like how did this evolve? I'm curious.
It's really kind of a strange story. So my son, who passed away in 2018, I have 3 daughters and a son. So I have had a daughter and a son. And then 10 years later, I had a daughter and then another daughter. So it was like 2 different families with the same husband, who's not my husband any longer. And I've been remarried now for 21 years. But, so my son, from the time he was little, 4 years old, we would go to the races in Quincy, Illinois, which is close to where I used to live in Illinois, and watch some guys that worked with my first husband, and they raced at a dirt track. And we would go for something fun to do on a Sunday night. And my son became obsessed from the age of 4 years old. Okay. And so we went quite religiously until he started playing baseball and doing other things. You'd be at a baseball tournament all day on a Sunday in the summer. And so the racing went to the wayside, but he never forgot that love of racing. And when he graduated from high school, he spent his graduation money and bought a stock car and he and his dad hid the car in part of our garage that I really never went to or looked at. And then when I realized it, I probably did have a hissy over the whole thing. And he said he would tell you that I didn't talk to either one of them for 2 weeks. And I'm sure that's not true, but it probably felt like that because I'm sure I was not a happy person.
Right.
And but at that point, then it was kind of like, okay, this is what he's going to do. Then you join him or you miss out. And so he was 18 years old. Not even, he was still 17 when he graduated. And so we started going to the racetrack and watching him race. And then he had a rather, I don't even know what the word is. He had a in and out of prison for different things.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a hard life, brought on by his choices, but yet, it changed him, but he never lost the love of motorsports.
Wow.
And in all of that, I moved from Illinois to Michigan. My first husband took a different job up here in the Kalamazoo area, which is where I live now. And he took a different job up here. And so my youngest two girls were in 6th and 8th grades. And so we moved here. My son and my oldest daughter, were back in Illinois. And in fact, I think Ben might have still been in prison at the time. But long story, we kind of started over here and then realized that I should have done something different with my marriage before I moved.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ended up getting divorced after we lived here about a year or so. And then I met my husband like 3 years later. But my son, go back to motorsports. When my son got out of jail and moved, he came to Michigan. One of the first things he did was buy an old stock car.
Wow.
And he started racing. And so, you get involved again with him. You go to the track and watch, and then you start to meet a few people. And then, in maybe a different class that he doesn't race, then you have a favorite driver. And it's just relationships. And I don't know about football so much, but I can tell you that the motorsports industry is one of the closest knit groups of people that you will ever find. When my son passed away, those are the people that reached out to me first.
Okay.
And you can be very competitive on the track with someone, and they will be the first one to help you when you need it.
Right.
It's just different than any other. My kids cheered and played basketball and golf and all these different activities, but it was never like the motorsports community.
Wow. That's great. Yeah.
And so he was racing, and I wanted to get a little bit more involved. And the story's a little long, but I started writing a digital magazine because I had a newspaper background. I owned a weekly newspaper when I lived in Michigan. So I started a digital magazine all about women in motorsports. And that evolved into getting invited on a podcast as a guest, and then more than once. And it was one of the most popular segments of their show.
Oh my gosh, that's
so they
cool.
said, you should do a podcast. You should do your own podcast. And that was in 2018. So I did, periodically, because I was still doing the magazine and that. And so it's just evolved. I'm retired, if you will, but I've done over 400 podcast episodes. And
all of that, that's so crazy.
And this year alone, I've done over 100 because I decided that I had to do the magazine or the podcast. It was just too much. So I gave up on the magazine, and I'm doing the podcast, and I absolutely love it.
Good. Yeah.
Telling the stories, which is what we're doing today, is, telling your story and being an encouragement and for other women to see that you don't have to be in the shadow of somebody else.
Yeah.
You can walk beside each other instead of somebody behind. And so I've met the most amazing people.
That's so
women,
cool.
and men too. I mean, I don't really interview men unless it's rare occasions,
Yeah.
but the women I've met, their moms, their wives, they work, they do laundry, they buy groceries, and they get their kids to the track, and they have all the food ready, and they pack the trailer, and they might even be the driver of the car.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh
They
yeah.
do all the things, you know. And then I interview little girls that are 6 years old that are just starting in racing.
Wow.
I love the little kids. You
Yeah.
never know what they're going to say.
Yeah. You know, so I have to, like, I have to say this. So, you know, my husband got involved. So he was little and he loved it. And so when we got married, so we're in Wisconsin, and he said one day, he goes, you know what? I want to race the Baja 1000.
Yeah.
Never heard about that. I'm like, okay. And so all of a sudden he's like, he's training. He's flying out once a month to come out to California from Wisconsin. And what he did was he was super persistent. He would email all these people, these different champions. So in the dirt biking world, there's Ryan Hughes, there's Destry Abbott, so if people, I know them only because of my husband. There's
Right.
Mark Samuels, who won the Baja 1000 like a lot. So all these different people that he emailed. So persistence, he kept doing it. Ryan finally, got a hold of him. So he's trained with this guy who I don't know how many, he was just good. But the different things I've learned is, one, like, yeah, they're obsessive too. And they're all in. And so when I see the parents, I see how involved they are. And then I also see the dynamics of these champions. Same thing. Doesn't matter what sport you're in. When your identity is all in that, there's always that hard transition out. And so looking at the people that he's associated with, who thankfully he's connected with now, some are stronger in character than others, and have moved on to find an identity outside of that. But to see that, it's like, it doesn't matter what sport it is, you're still going to have to just deal with identity. But I do want to say this, that my husband, that he was working, like, he would go, so he started to race, and as an older person, I guess in a 6-month period of time, people were amazed by how much he had improved. And I scary when I'm seeing him drive down the hill. Oh my gosh. So I didn't like to watch, but so one, he was persistent. So it showed his mentality of the risk taking, I'm going 100% all the time. But what I thought was cool, one of the different stories that I saw was he had an eye for the younger ones. And so there was one guy, his name is Parker, and he, there's just a lot of, in terms of financial, there's a lot of different people, because no matter who you are, it takes a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
A lot of money, a lot of time. And so there was this one kid from, I believe, up north, but he didn't have the great bikes. He didn't have, you could tell it was a struggle for him. And we had a lot of bikes. And I remember he asked me, I want to help this kid out. And so he saw something that no one else saw. This guy's now a pro. And it's wow, for my husband to see that and to help him out it was just one of those things where it's okay, that's cool. And the other thing too is my husband's persistence in getting a hold of these guys. Now he's doing his tours with those same coaches, those same champions that are now the guides.
Right.
There's Jeff Emig, I think those are names. He's got some amazing guys on his tour that actually are a big attraction to the guys, because the guys don't know when they get there, and they're just in awe. I don't know these people, but if you're in that world and you see that these are my guides, I get to be taught by these guys. So like I said, it's just these businessmen, when I see them on day one, they're you could tell they're excited, but they're nervous. And by day 4, when they're all done, they are just little kids on a high, because they got to chill out, relax, be little kids, but seeing their, their people who are their fans of,
right.
being able to teach them, like interact with them, it is amazing experience. I'm super honored to see, because there was a time when my husband had the idea of like doing this multi-venture.
You
I
didn't
mean, that was,
see it.
oh no, not at all. And I just thought, oh my gosh, what the heck are we doing?
Yeah.
So
That's funny. You know, I think motorsports, either you're in or you're out.
mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, we always say that, how do you get new fans to understand motorsports? It's not by watching television. They need to go to the track and, if possible, be in the pit area,
Yeah.
meet a driver, go through a hauler, watch what happens, sit somewhere where you can watch the pit crew work during the race, all those things. Yes, if you can at least get them to the race in the stands, that's better than not getting them there.
Right.
But the more experience you can show them, um, that's what it takes to get a fan. And that's why NASCAR especially is, they just announced their schedule for 2026, and they're going to be in San Diego, and the race is going to be at the naval base.
Oh, cool.
It's the 250th anniversary of America and the 250th anniversary of the Navy.
Oh, wow.
And we're going to be racing in a couple weeks before the 4th of July in San Diego. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's such a big deal. And that's why, NASCAR is trying to go to different places, because if you go to that race, Eileen, I guarantee you're going to become a fan, because you're going to be like, I had no idea this is what it was like. I thought it was just a bunch of cars going in a circle. That's what we hear all the time.
Totally. I'm like, how do you watch that?
It's not. It's not. It's not a bunch of cars going in a circle. Every track is different. They might be oval. They might be dog leg. There's all kinds of different things. Some are banked more. Some are not. Some have good surface. Some don't. Every track is different. And the same with, like, my track right here in Kalamazoo. It's my home track. There's 2 or 3 guys tonight that are actually retiring from racing, which is really unusual. And the one guy, I think he's raced 33 years or something. But what he's done is he's retiring from racing, and he's been a multi-champion, but he has taken over the mini wedge, which is the kids and the little mini wedges.
Cool.
And so it never gets out of your blood. It's just you do something different. So when my son raced, and then my granddaughters both raced quarter midgets, and they both moved up and raced front wheel drive and street stocks. This is the first year since the first year in about 25, 30 years that I haven't had a family member actually racing at the track.
Wow.
My youngest granddaughter that was racing, going to school, she and her boyfriend bought a house and stuff. It's just not, they can't do it. But he still races. So we're still at the racetrack. Aww. My other granddaughter, her sister, just got engaged. He still races.
Yeah.
So it's in our family.
Right.
But, it's in your blood.
Yeah.
It's different. My kids played baseball and softball. They were cheerleaders. They played basketball, all those things, right? But it's nothing like the motorsports community.
Yeah. Yeah. My son, my oldest son, started watching, it's like F1 or something.
Oh, yeah. F1.
Yeah. And it was super intriguing. He would watch it, and all of a sudden I was watching. So yeah, for sure. And I mean, of course, it's like definitely not like reality. It's like a documentary kind of thing. But still, when you see it from the inside, it's totally different, and you see it from different eyes. And all my kids have actually seen the movie. I think there's an F1 movie. Yeah. I want to see that. So I've heard.
And then Netflix has the series. I bet maybe that's where he started watching it.
Yes.
Yep. Netflix has the F1 series. And then there's one about NASCAR. Drive. I can't remember what it's called, but it's on Netflix. It's about NASCAR. And Netflix has done a couple things on Dale Earnhardt.
Okay.
So, that's another way to get people interested, or at least they're like, really, I had no idea it was like this or this. But
Yeah.
that's what really, I think, made F1 really much more popular, was the Netflix series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely a
So
different world, but
what's
yeah.
your advice to somebody who is listening to this and they're like, okay, that's me that you're talking about.
Yeah.
What can we share with these women that maybe would propel them to make the first step?
Yeah. Well, you know what? So as I'm incorporating my world with what you're talking about and with what I've seen, as I've seen different women be fully in with their kids and they're so consumed, have something, make sure, and it's not big, but make little shifts to do something for yourself. And, so it's you verbalizing, saying, you know what? I like this. I'm gonna carve out a little time to do that thing. Who is it that I can connect with? So for me, it was writing, it was authorship. And so I started, because of insecurity of like, I don't know if I'm good enough, or I don't know. It was just me speaking out to say, what, I want to get more into this.
Yeah.
And so then you're getting connected, and then you're just carving out time so that this thing that seems like such an impossibility is just steps to get to that place. It's not like I want to write a book, that's because then that's overwhelming. But
Yeah.
if you can just say, you know what, I want to do that. Let me go to the paint and pottery place and, just something.
Yeah.
I know when I did that, it was just like, oh my gosh, I used to love that stuff. And so you just making time for yourself, you're going to see how much that fulfills you.
So
And then keep
scrapbooking.
going.
I don't know if you can
Yes.
see this.
Oh,
So
I love it.
I make journals,
Ooh, cool.
and of all kinds. I make scrapbooks. I love paper. I'm almost 70, Eileen, and so there was no phones and stuff to keep track. It was all paper.
Yes.
And all colored pens, and you should see all the colored pens I have. I'm all about all of that, and I love the making these journals that then when I have somebody on my podcast, I send them a little gift bag. They get
Very
a
cool.
journal and maybe a couple stickers and some different things that I've made. And
Yeah.
so when I can't be on my computer anymore because I'm computered out with podcasting and doing all the things, then this is what I do.
Yeah.
I make things that are fun, and when the people get them, they're like, what? It's a surprise. And so it's part of what I do, but it's the relaxing and the fun part of just getting away from the computer.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that if every woman did that, her family would see a different side of her.
Absolutely.
And so it's just giving yourself permission to think about yourself. And it's okay, it's okay to think about yourself.
Go for a walk, join a running club. Go to the library. Our library has all kinds of different things they do. I mean, there's so many things. And nowadays you can find them. Back in my day, I had to go to the library to see what was happening,
Yeah. And it's a test, it's like, I remember I loved the sound of the guitar, the violin, and the flute. And I remember there was a time where I was thinking, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And I thought about it. And my first husband, he got me, men, in general, like, I don't know, men aren't like the best gift givers, but I remember when I got that gift and I was just like, I was in tears, like, oh my gosh, he heard me. So anyways, I played that flute. It was so fun. I never played anything like that. I taught myself, and it was so fulfilling to just give myself at least 15 minutes a day. And it was something like that. So trying something completely new was just, it just got me filled. And so, there's just different things. Walking too. I never walked. I live in such a hilly place. Now my walks are my everything. My walks are the thing that it's a fast walk, a short, whatever. It's listening to music. It's listening to audiobooks.
Yeah.
And so there's so much that you can do when you give yourself time. And so to carve out time for yourself, to do whatever it is, those things, I think that's such a
and
key.
I think what you have to do is you have to schedule it.
Yes.
You know, and so I have a paper planner, but I mean, I also schedule on my phone, but I have a paper planner. It's Happy Day. The Happy Planners, they're the best. I love them.
Okay.
And so I had my appointment with you in there, and you know what, who's racing where, and all those things, the doctor appointments. But that's where you carve out 30 minutes or whatever you can find. And if you don't write it in there and schedule it, you're going to be doing dishes or dusting or doing something completely that's not, scrolling. Isn't that what we do? We sit down and we scroll on our phones, and when we could be doing something productive.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Eileen, this has just been so refreshing. I tell you, life just kind of smacks you up one side and down the other sometimes, and then you are able to talk to somebody that you've never met before, and they share their story with you, and then it's like, oh, this is why I do this, because I love hearing your story and I love sharing it with other people.
Awesome. Well, I so appreciate our willingness to keep pushing through the weeks of trying to do it. But yeah, I loved finally kind of like incorporating my husband's world into my conversation. So that was fun too. But yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So hold on, and I'll stop the recording, and then I want to talk to you just a minute when we're done.
Yeah.
That's it for this episode of the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. We hope you've been inspired by the stories I shared today and feel more connected to the amazing community of women in motorsports. Remember, whether you're behind the wheel, in the pits, or cheering from the stands, your story matters. And together, we're driving change and celebrating every milestone. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who loves motorsports as much as you do. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and more incredible stories. So until next time, stay inspired, stay connected, and keep racing through life. This is the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, where every woman's story is worth celebrating.